5 Emmerdale spoilers next week between Monday 12th and Friday 16th January. Moira Dingle arrested for human trafficking in Celia Daniels. Death twist. Ray's death causes shockwaves around the village. And one resident is brought in for questioning. The deaths of Celia Daniels and Ray Walters have huge repercussions for the residents of Emmerdale next week. One resident implies that Moira Dingle may have been in on their scheme, and she's soon arrested. While Jai Sharma is chief suspect when Ray's body is found in the back of his van. Meanwhile, Laurel Thomas and Paddy Dingle struggle in the wake of recent events. The village is absolutely spiralling. And frankly, I am not sure my nerves can take much more of this. The week kicks off with absolute chaos as police swarm the village and dart up to Butler's farm. They are now fully aware that Celia and Ray were operating a modern slavery operation from a neighbouring property. And they want answers. Moira is out collecting Kane from the hospital. So it falls to Robert and Victoria to try their utmost to paint her in a positive light during the interview. Leave Moira alone. She has been through enough with Kane's health scare. The police are like dogs with a bone, but they are barking up the wrong tree. Moira Dingle is a hero, not a human trafficker. However, the betrayal comes from an unexpected source. Sneaky Joe Tate doesn't realise the damage he's doing when he implies to the police that Moira might not be the innocent party she claims to be. When Moira arrives home, D.S. Walsh pushes her for answers over her working relationship with Celia. And a search warrant is issued. Moira doesn't stop their investigations, confident that there's nothing to hide. But as viewers know, there is when Celia forced Bear to bury poor Anya in the field. She wrapped her body in one of Moira's blankets. Oh no! The blanket! I completely forgot about that. That is the smoking gun Celia has framed her from beyond the grave. This is going to look so bad for Moira. Joe Tate, you have a lot to answer for. Later, the inevitable happens. Moira is carted away by the police in front of a devastated Kane. Caleb Milligan vows to help his brother find the best lawyer possible. But it's looking grim. Meanwhile, the police also search the depot as part of their inquiry into the drugs pushing. They are convinced that Caleb Milligan International must have had some part to play in shifting the narcotics. Jai, Caleb, and Billy are stunned when Ray's body is found in the back of a van. They are immediately under pressure as the police try to work out just who might have had access to the vehicle. Ray's body in the van. Talk about a grim discovery. Imagine opening the doors for a delivery and finding that. But surely Jai isn't stupid enough to leave a body in his own work van. Caleb is convinced that somebody working at the depot is a killer, while Jai is convinced that Celia is the one responsible. However, the next day, DC Stewart asks whether there's any unusual connection between Jai and Ray. Caleb, proving loyalty means nothing in business, takes note and tells them about Jai's previous marriage to Laurel. Laurel and Arthur are stunned to hear that Ray's body has been found. Laurel tears strips off Marlon for not telling her about Ray sooner, leaving him hurt by the magnitude of her words. Laurel is grieving, but taking it out on Marlon, that is harsh. Everyone is just trying to protect her, but Caleb selling out Jai about the divorce is low. He really is a snake in the grass. D.S. Walsh is intrigued by her relationship with Ray and suggests that Jai might have been jealous. Although Laurel is adamant he wasn't responsible, Jai is still taken in for questioning. Gossip flies around the village, deeply upsetting Laurel. Feeling the heat, Jai gets defensive and points the finger at April and Dylan before storming out. Jai, You cannot blame the kids. That is a new low. Blaming the victims of trafficking to save your own skin. You are losing the audience. Jai, get a grip. Elsewhere, Paddy Dingle is traumatized by Bear Wolf's disappearance. He breaks down when Mandy calls him from Ireland. And poor Dylan is unsure of how to console him. Lewis tries to comfort Paddy, but accidentally makes him more upset. But the truly terrifying part, they have no idea that there's a newly disturbed grave that has been dug beside Anya. A fresh grave. Please tell me Bear isn't in there, if they killed Beowulf. I am done. He is the teddy bear of the village. Someone get a shovel and check that grave immediately. It's safe to say that everyone in the village is rocked to the core. Dylan is in disbelief, not wanting to believe that Ray manipulated them. Meanwhile, Kim Tate is suspicious of Joe, who played a part in Moira's arrest. She urges him to stay out of it. But when alone, Joe makes a secret phone call and asks for an update. Who is Joe calling? He is up to something shady. Is he working with a secret partner? Or is he trying to clean up his own mess? The Tates are always 5 steps ahead. And I am terrified of what Joe is planning next. Emmerdale legend makes shocking return from the dead in explosive Corriedale twist. The Tate family is set to get a blast from the past in upcoming episodes. Spoiler warning for Corriedale, which aired on Monday, 5th January. Emmerdale has aired an unexpected return from the dead for Graham Foster during its crossover event with Coronation Street. Titled Corriedale, the 2 ITV soaps crossed over in a dramatic special episode to kick off the newly scheduled Soap Power Hour on ITV, one every weekday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. During the episode, which mostly concerned the aftermath of a huge crash that ultimately resulted in 2 character deaths, we were treated to some ominous glances from an unknown individual in a van. Eventually, the camera panned, and our jaws hit the floor as we saw that Graham was the driver of the van. Even more disturbing, he was transporting an unknown woman who was bound as a prisoner in the back. I nearly choked on my tea, Graham Foster, the man we saw murdered, thrown off a cliff, and cremated. This is absolutely bonkers. I had to rewind 3 times just to believe my eyes. Emmerdale, you have officially outdone yourselves. We also saw Graham loom over an injured Joe Tate at both the crash site and then later at Houghton General Hospital. However, given Joe's concussion and the chaos of the night, it remains unclear if Joe will believe he really saw his former guardian, or if he will dismiss it as a trauma-induced hallucination. The shock return comes after Graham was seemingly killed off in 2020 inches, a massive whodunit storyline. So, how he's returned is just one of many questions we have after Corriedale. To understand the gravity of this return, we have to remember who Graham Foster is. He is the former legal guardian of Joe Tate, the 3rd husband of Kim Tate, and the former boyfriend of Rona Goskirk. Graham was the coolest character the Dales has ever seen. That voice, those suits, the brooding intensity. But he was also a tragic figure. Seeing him back is a dream come true. But I am terrified about what he has become. Introduced to the soap in 2017, Graham was shown to be the employee and enforcer of Joe Tate before their backstory was slowly revealed further. He was like a father figure to Joe, having been appointed his legal guardian by his aunt Zoe Tate during Joe's troubled years at a boarding school where Graham served as a groundsman. We learned that before he worked at the school. Graham had served in the military and had married a woman named Cheryl, who was pregnant with his child. However, Tragedy struck when Graham drove them in a car while drunk. And it crashed, killing Cheryl and their unborn child. This guilt defined his entire existence in the village. His backstory was heartbreaking. The guilt he carried made him so complex. But now he is driving a van with a kidnapped woman. Has he lost his mind completely? This isn't the Graham who tried to be a better man for Rona. After his past tragedies, Graham was cared for by a former flame, Kim Tate. She got him the school job and later asked him to look after her son, Jamie Tate, when she went to prison. However, as Graham struggled with addiction, he instead enlisted barmaid Andrea to watch over Jamie. This led to a messy web of secrets, as Andrea began an affair with Graham, but later fell in love with Jamie, becoming his wife and having his daughter, Millie. When Kim was released from prison in 2018, she ordered Graham to get rid of Joe. However, Kane Dingle intervened, punching Joe in a moment that led everyone to believe Joe was dead. Graham later disposed of Joe, but in a twist. It was revealed he helped Joe escape to Monte Carlo with Tate funds. Graham saving Joe was the ultimate act of loyalty. He loved that boy like a son. So why is he looming over him at the hospital looking like the Grim Reaper? Is he back to finish the job? Or to save him again? In his final months on the soap, Graham had a number of enemies, from all of the Tates to the Dingles. He didn't warn Charity Dingle about her son Noah's drug habit, earning her wrath. He also clashed with Marlon Dingle as he made plans to take Rona and Leo to France. On his final day, however, Graham had a fatal encounter with Rona's former husband and rapist, Pierce Harris. Flashbacks revealed that Graham had threatened Pierce to stay away. In the present, Pierce struck Graham on the head with a log before dragging his body through the woodland. Despite regaining consciousness and fighting back, Graham showed Pierce mercy, a mistake that cost him everything. Pierce pursued Graham and ran him down with his car, causing Graham to fall off a cliff. Somehow, Graham survived the fall, only for Pierce to deliver an apparently fatal blow to his head with a torch at the base of the cliff. He was hit with a log, run over, thrown off a cliff, and beaten with a torch. He is basically Rasputin. But here is the kicker. Kim Tate cremated him. We saw the funeral. Unless that urn is full of kitty litter, how is he walking around? Graham's body was later discovered, and Pierce was convicted after Rona bravely recorded his confession. Pierce later died in prison. Following justice being served, Graham's remains were supposedly cremated by his wife, Kim, in a funeral that only she attended, much to Rona's fury. So, Graham is somehow alive after receiving a treatment akin to a horror movie villain. Kim Tate is behind this. Mark my words. She was the only one at the funeral. Did she fake his death? Has she been keeping him hidden for 6 years? If Kim has been pulling the strings this whole time, she is the greatest villain in soap history.